But it's all fun and games right now, but there are some things parents need to look out for, maybe in other locations and other places. This is when our Tiziana Onstead joins us now with a look at that.
Thank you, Jason. Now, something I've heard over and over again from state law enforcement as well as local law enforcement is just that parents and children should be familiar with the neighborhoods that they're going into when it comes down to trick-or-treating and aware of whose doors they're knocking on, specifically registered sex offenders. Now, currently, Georgia and South Carolina both have statewide curfews for sex offenders, and that's between 5:30 to 9 o'clock on Halloween night. And unlike this house behind me, they are not allowed to have any Halloween decorations out. They're not allowed to have any lights on outside, and they're supposed to remain inside the house for that evening. Or some also counties have them meet up at a central location and be monitored by parole officers. But I also found out that not all sex offenders have to follow those rules. It's the biggest time of the year in this Harlem neighborhood.
People decorate, they invite the kids in, they sit out in the yard with the table, big bowls of candy, music.
Shady Grove is known for Halloween, and the Crenshaw family have lived right in the middle of it for years.
We have thousands of trick-or-treaters.
She says kids love the spooky decorations and good candy, and the parents love it because it's safe. But outside Shady Grove, Crenshaw says there are some doors kids shouldn't knock on, specifically registered sex offenders.
We never trick-or-treated any other neighborhood but this one, so we didn't have to worry about that. But I was always aware who they were, where they lived, how close they lived.
In Georgia, there's a curfew for sex offenders on Halloween night, but not all of them are required to follow it. Only the ones on probation or parole. In Columbia County, there are 98 sex offenders. The sheriff's office says about half of them are on probation and have to follow the curfew. The other half are allowed to participate, meaning they can open their doors to your kids. In South Carolina, there are regulations for all sex offenders. Ashley Finch with Aiken County's Probation and Parole Office says the 25 current sex offenders under supervision are required to meet at the office on Halloween night. Those who aren't still have to stay in the house with the lights off. Finch says they don't want parents to be alarmed, but aware. That's why every county has a list of registered sex offenders online.
So you can plan out your route to avoid sex offender residences when you're going out to do trick-or-treating.
But Crenshaw says this is important year-round, not just on Halloween.
They need to be aware of their surroundings. The world is what it is. It's not safe 100% of the time.
Now, when I spoke to Georgia's Department of Community Supervision, they said once a sex offender is off probation and no longer under their supervision, it is up to the districts and the local law enforcement to figure out how they are going to be monitored, if they're allowed to participate or not. Now, Columbia County Sheriff's Office says they are going to have extra deputies out monitoring these neighborhoods that have sex offenders in it, as well as other neighborhoods, just to make sure that the families and the kids remain safe and have a good time. And this is not to alarm any parents at all, but just to make sure that the parents are aware and they know what to do if they are concerned about this situation.
And Tiz, I know the kids, mom, dad, don't go with us. Let us go on our own. But it really is a good idea to go trick-or-treating with your children, just to make sure that they stay safe. You can keep an eye out on where they go, who they're with, and of course, if cars see them, a lot of extra cars will be out too. So there's a lot of dangers out there.
Absolutely, a lot of things that you should follow, but it's nothing that you wouldn't follow on a normal day. Don't dart in front of the road. Make sure that you are following the rules. You are aware of whose lights are on or off, because that may mean that they don't even have candy for you to give out if you knock on that door. So that's just the basic rules that you would follow on a regular basis, but also just be a little bit more cautious and aware and stay in a big group as always.